You get to see people just like you, but maybe 10, 15 steps ahead of you. And so they get to be your real life vision board. So not a picture you cut out from the magazine or from some conference where you don't know anybody, but these are real people that you know. This is what happens when you're in the right room. When I started my journey as an entrepreneur, one of the mantras I used to say, and just because I heard it so often, is there's no shortcut to success. But the truth of the matter is there is. There is a shortcut. In fact, there are a number of shortcuts. Mentors and coaches will be, two of them. But the third one is really being in the right room. Okay. And I'm going to talk to you about the power of being in the right room and how to engage with that so you can get the most of it. And it's going to absolutely rock your world. And if you implement this strategy, what it will do is it will set you up where you're in your business and your journey as an entrepreneur is no longer 1 + 1 is equal to 2. It's like 1 + 1 is equal to who knows? Like who knows how amazing this is going to be. Okay. It's happened for me. And I'll give you a few examples of that. And I expect the exact same thing for you. Okay. And as a physician entrepreneur, every single year, there is an event, which is one of the most powerful events for physicians who want to build 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses. And it's called EntreMD Live. It's coming up June the 7th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So it's a whole day event. It's in Atlanta, Georgia. You want to be in the room, okay? Because in this room, and we have had so many transformations. There was a doctor who came on there. She flew in from California, came, attended the event. A series of things happened after that. But then after that, her very next quarter in business, her revenue was 122% higher than it was, right? And people have linked so many breakthroughs to this event. It's called EntreMD Live, entremd.com/live. You can get your tickets. You can get a regular ticket or you can get a VIP ticket, which I would highly recommend because then you get to have even more access to the things that I'm going to show you. Okay. So entremd.com/live is June the 7th. It is a do not miss. Okay. All right. So I want to show you 5 powerful things that happen to you when you're in the right room. Okay. So starting from number one. Number one is you get access to proven strategies. Now, the reason why this is so important is because we live in a time where people flat out just lie. Okay. They lie on social media, they lie on their websites, and they just make up stuff, right? I've had people, who are talking about how to build 7-figure businesses and they have never done it. I have people who are telling you of all kinds of things that they can do, but they have never done it. Okay. So these people are like, they're all about theory. They have never experienced what they're talking about. And now where you have AI, people are just, again, going into AI and pulling out all this content that makes it seem like they know what they're doing when they don't. Now, the thing that makes that difficult is that people can only give what they have. And so they can get anything from AI or they could get anything from anybody else's website, or they can make up whatever they want to make up. But they will not be able to help other people create the transformation because they don't really know what they're talking about. Now, when you are in the right room, you are in the room with people. Typically, it would be somebody who is a leader or a mentor, along with people who have used that framework and used that system and things like that to create results. And so you get access to things that actually work, right? Like are proven to work. People have done them and they have results. Why is this powerful? It's powerful because all it takes is one strategy. And what one strategy can do in your business and in your life as an entrepreneur is it can literally change everything. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get one. You could get a ton, but I'm saying the barrier is so low because you just need one. Now, I remember an event I went for, and it was a bunch of, female CEOs and stuff like that. And we were just having lunch, a very casual conversation. And, I was talking to someone who wrote a book and I'm like, oh my goodness, congratulations, on this book you wrote and all of that. And I wanted to get information from her, like, so what was your process like? Mind you, this was at lunch. This was not a major session or anything like that, but that's the power of events. That's what happens there. And then she started telling me about how she doesn't start books from scratch, that she repurposes, some content that she's had. And then instead of just writing all the information, she makes her outline, decides what she needs to create the content, the book around, like what the outline of the book is going to be. And then she creates content around that. And then so it ends up being content that will be on her podcast or on her YouTube channel, in her program and things like that. And she just gathers all of that and puts it together, and that becomes her book, right? And then she works with an editor and all of those things. And that like going into detail and looking at that whole process, and she gave me the whole process, is the reason why I'm able to write 3 books a year. And this year we're on track to do 4 books a year, right? And it's really high quality, really transformative, because that's my core values. The content I create must transform lives, and it's doing all of those things. And it was just in a conversation. It was a conversation. If we did not have that conversation, the most I would have done was a book a year. Chances are I would have done a book every other year. But for me, this is so important because I feel like, oh my goodness, you have so much to give the world, and you have to put it in such a way that people getting it does not depend directly on you, hence all the books, right? So anyway, so it's one strategy, just one. It's the same thing when I make leaps, like revenue leaps, is just sitting with people and hearing one strategy. I'm like, like I didn't know that. And so when you're in the right room, right, not having the right strategy can cost you years. It could even cost you not being able to do what you set out to do. So for instance, for me, I would not have been able to write the number of books that I intend to write if I didn't have access to that strategy. And I would just said, like, it's a really nice thing, but that I wanted to do, but it's a Herculean task. Nobody can really do that. And I could have left the planet having written 10 books, 12 books, 15 books. And it would be like, oh my goodness, that's so amazing. Not knowing that it could have been 70 books, right? And so being in the right room, if you think about the challenges you're having in business, milestone that you've not been able to, we've had people come for our events and they're just like, I know I need to raise my prices. I know that's going to be the biggest game changer in my business. They just can't figure out how to pull it off. And in one event, on their way to the bathroom, like somebody has a conversation with them and they're like, that's it. And they go and change their prices and their business changes completely after that. That's what I'm talking about. So you have access to real things that work and have worked in real businesses, creating real results. Okay. And so when you come for EntreMD Live, that's what you're going to experience. So think about any area of your business where you're experiencing a big challenge. It's not because that challenge is insurmountable. It's because, probably there's a strategy that's missing, right? Even if it's a mindset strategy, but there's a strategy missing. And in one conversation or in one session or in one breakout session or whatever, you get access to what it is that you need. Okay. So being in the right room is the formula for quantum leaps. It is. When we have client events, for instance, we have people who have come time after time because they know, and they come with this understanding that things are about to change, right? Because they know that's what's going to happen. So that's the very first thing. The second thing is that you get to have access to real life vision boards. Okay. The things that you're trying to do, you get to meet with real humans like you who are doing that. And what that does for you is it takes what you're trying to do from this realm of who can do such a thing as that to we the people do things like that. And when you meet them, what you will find out is they have challenges just like you do. They have fears just like you do. They have mind drama just like you do, but it may be in different areas or more evolved mind drama or whatever, but they have all these things. Like you go like, wait, they're pretty normal. And what it does is it puts you in a place where it's so easy to believe, so much easier to believe that you can pull off what you're trying to pull off. Okay. And so I love this because it's no longer something other people can do, is something I can do. One of the reasons I talk a lot about, my processes and the wins that I've had and all of that is because I represent a lot of this should not happen to somebody like you, right? And so, first of all, when you look at the data, the number of businesses owned by African Americans that make it past the $1 million or $2 million mark, it is a very small percentage. We're talking like 0.05 or 0.005. I don't remember what the number is, but it's a very small number. And I share that so I can be a vision board. So everyone who's African American, who has been told that statistic and who believes that's a statistic, understands that no, that is true. Like the statistic is true, but I can rise above that, right? Like there's an example of what's possible. I also do that because I'm female. And again, there is the statistics of the number of female-owned businesses that make it to $1 million or $2 million in revenue. And when someone sees those statistics, they can say, hey, but Dr. Una though, right? And so what that does is like, here you are, you're there, I'm there, we're looking at each other, you're looking at a real life vision board, right? It's like, oh, the reason why I can't do this is because I have kids. Well, I have 4 kids and I homeschool, had 4 kids. And again, that is to be an example to say, hey guys, we can do this. And one of the things that I hear people say a lot is, oh, pediatrician, we're just lowly pediatricians, right? Because it's one of the lowest paying specialties. But I know that entrepreneurship is the great equalizer. And so even though I'm a pediatrician, I can choose I'm going to earn like a neurosurgeon. Business will make that possible for me, right? And so when somebody who is like all the not negatives, like it's bad, but all the quote unquote disadvantages, which I don't see it as a disadvantage, but anyway, that's a conversation for a different day. But so you have an African-American female with 4 kids who's a pediatrician, right? Why do I constantly share my wins so I can be a vision board for anybody who falls in these categories and they go like, well, I guess I could. How did she do it? Right? How did she do it? And so that's one example. But whatever that is, people say, oh, well, for instance, like, will the EntreMD Business School work for me? I'm older. And you see people who are in their 50s and their 60s and they're crushing it as entrepreneurs, which is your thing like, I guess I could thrive at this. Or people who are like, well, I just left residency. And you see people who are early stage careers and they're crushing it. And you see people, well, I just had a baby. And you see people who are actively having babies, actively building this. And so you get to see people just like you, but maybe 10, 15 steps ahead of you. And so they get to be your real life vision board. So not a picture you cut out from the magazine or from some conference where you don't know anybody, but these are real people that you know. This is what happens when you're in the right room. It normalizes the challenges that you're having and it draws the possibility of what you've been dreaming of. Okay. The third thing is that it opens you up to brand new possibilities, things that you didn't even think about. Right. And this is one of the beautiful things about, being an entrepreneur and working that process of becoming an entrepreneur is that you suddenly start getting exposed to things that you never thought was possible. I will tell you, like, when I set goals for my businesses earlier on, I mean, I had great plans, I was like, okay, I guess, we'll hit 7 figures in revenue and stuff like this. But where I have landed is so much bigger, so much wilder than anything that I planned. And I simply did not think I'll be where I am. And not because I thought about it, it's like, no, I could never get there. I just didn't think about it. Like when I say I'm a serial entrepreneur, I still have to pinch myself and say, that is fascinating that I'll use those words to describe myself. But it is true. It is true. And so it opens up your eyes to things that were not possible. There are people who've come to our events. And in fact, there was a lady who came for the last EntreMD Live. And, she was burning out, so she had the job that she was doing. She had her business she was doing on the side, if you will. She had her kids, her family, all of those things. And she discovered, like, yes, there's a team for work, but I can also have a home team. So she discovered, oh my goodness, I can build out this home team. And if I build out this home team, I'll get so much of my time back. And then when she was like, okay, so how do I do it? And then she found out, like, you have people who are paid, you have people who are unpaid, you have whatever. And it dawned on her that there were people that were actually asking her to help her in that capacity. And she had always told them no, because she didn't understand what was happening. And then so she said yes to them, and she got 10 hours a week back just from being an event and being exposed to possibilities that she did not know she had, right? And so 10 hours a week. And then she used that to work on her business and start creating massive growth, unbelievably massive growth. And why did she do that? Because she was in the right room. And so there are things that you're not even thinking about, but they will expose you to those things. They will expose you to those things, whether it's revenue milestones, whether it's boards you could be on, whether it's team members that you can have, whether it's how to leverage the team members you have already, whether it's how to manage your calendar so you can buy so much time back. There's so much that you're not even thinking about, but you'll get exposed to. So imagine walking away for a conference where you're like, oh my goodness, the goals I set for myself this year are fantastic, but I need to edit them. Okay. Number four is that you gain a new circle. Now, let me say this especially for my introverts. One of the things that we will encourage a lot during EntreMD Live is networking. And don't worry, if you're an introvert and it just made you go like, oh, I thought I was just about to register and get my tickets, but I guess I'm not going to. No, don't do that. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an introvert. So I will help you do it in a way that an introvert can do it and thrive. So you're okay. But one of the things we'll do is we'll get you to network, because this is the thing. In a room like that, one of the things you want to do is you want to grow your circle. You want to grow your inner circle with people people who are like you, going where you're trying to go. Maybe they're a few steps ahead of you, or maybe you're a few steps ahead of them and you can support them and stuff like that. But just have access to more people, and more people who are winning, and more people who are crushing it, and more people who believe in collaboration over competition and stuff like that. And so now, when you want to hang out or you just want to talk to people about what you're doing with your business, and you find that in your world there's so many naysayers and they're just not buying what you're selling, meaning they're not buying your vision, now you have people to talk to who get it, and people who won't shoot your dreams down and things like that, right? You acquire new friends. And there are many people I've met at events, and we've gone on to, we've been friends for over a decade, and we just met at an event, right? And stuff like that. And being not just any event, but again, being in the right room, right? Okay, so that's number 4. Now, number 5 is a lot of fun. And that is, new inner circle opportunities. And that's the opportunity for you to be in inner circles of people who are crushing it in a whole new way. So for instance, at EntreMD Live, one of the conversations that will come up a lot naturally is the EntreMD Business School. And you have an opportunity to say, okay, well, I want to be here. And again, the thing about the EntreMD Business School is EntreMD Live is so unbelievably amazing. Like, I could charge $10,000 for it, and you will have a massive ROI. It's very powerful. But then you probably want to say 100x. That's what the EntreMD Business School is. And so the people that you get to meet, and the people you get to see as vision boards and all of those things, you have an opportunity to not see them once a year, but you have an opportunity now to be in class with them every single week and working with them within a group setting, and being in a place where you get to hear the debriefs on their businesses, and you get to be blown away. So like, for instance, just recently, like if I put over the last few months, we've had a doctor who had her first $1 million month. Now this person gets to be your classmate. Okay. We have somebody who was invited. They're like, oh, we just want you, this person is building their referral base. And they're like, we want you to, come on and do a radio talk show. We'll give you a show. And that person is your classmate. We have people like Dr. Rachel Rubin, who just is part of the committee and a driving force really around writing the new guidelines for genital urinary syndrome of menopause, which it just hasn't been a guideline. Like, when you hear about guidelines being written, like, do you think of yourself writing guidelines or pushing to have guidelines written? And this is what they did. And she was just featured on Dr. Peter Attia's podcast, which he has almost 1 million subscribers. And I can't imagine the opportunities that's going to open for her. Now this person becomes your classmate, right? And you have people, buying land and building new practices, all that. Like, these are now all your people, and you have access, right? So you get opportunities to be in an inner circle. And this is what happens, again, when you're in the right room. So I want you to think about this. And the reason why this is important is because, we're burning daylight, you know what I mean? And we're burning daylight. And EntreMD, we are committed to serving you in every way possible to help you win. That's why we do the podcast. That's why we have the private practice YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed to that, you want to head over to it. So just at the private practice channel. And that's why we do that. And that's why we write the books. And that's why we host the events and all of those things. And so this event really is for you. And if you're someone who subscribes to the podcast and you come and you listen every single week and all of that, multiply this by 1,000, right? And that's what happens in EntreMD Live. So you want to do it, right? And I understand what happens when we have to make decisions. Sometimes, well, if I had known earlier, or, I don't know who will watch my children and all those kind of things. This is the deal. You're an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, right? And you are somebody who is a problem solver. That's what that means. You're a problem solver. And don't let that stop you. Don't let what stops you mean like, oh, I wish I knew sooner, or don't let any of those things stop you. I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to be the person who's like, I'm going to make it, and I'm going to be in the room. We had a doc who a week before the event flew out from California and came to the event. And it has changed her life, her family, her business, her health, everything, right? And so if she could do that, you can get on a flight, or you can drive down, depending where you are, or you're in Atlanta. Oh my goodness, you can just get your ticket and come be at the event, right? But this is the deal. Don't let indecision make you miss out on an opportunity that is guaranteed to change your life and your business. Because this is the deal. If this is our first time of doing it, it would be different. This will be our 7th EntreMD Live. So there's evidence, right? And if you listen to the podcast and we're able to deliver such value that people keep DMing me and saying, how can you do all of that for free? Like, what in the world? Like, how can you have all of that on a podcast? Like, that could be a course. If we could do that, then I want you to think about what happens in events. So I want you to go get your ticket. I want you to get your ticket to EntreMD Live, entremd.com/live. And the theme this year is a 7-figure entrepreneur. We're going to talk about you becoming the 7-figure CEO that your business deserves. We're going to talk about building your 7-figure brand, which in the day of AI and the commoditization of medicine and all kinds of products and services, this is important. This is a must-have. It's no longer a nice-to-have. You're going to see 7-figure case studies, right? People who've done this and those proven strategies that work. We're going to have breakout sessions this time. So we're going to have a breakout session for DPC, for insurance-based private practices, for coaches, and for entrepreneurs, right? So we're going to have breakout sessions so everybody can be with their type of business. We're going to talk about the 7-figure team. It's packed with goodness. Okay. You're not walking in there and walking out the same. It's just not going to happen. Okay. And that's the content. Now there's the networking. We're going to have a networking lunch, and the VIP folks, we have a networking lunch as well, and all of those things. So it's just going to be phenomenal. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. Okay. So entremd.com/live. I want you to register, save your spot, get your tickets if you're flying in, and everything's going to change, and I'm ready for it. Okay. So this is the deal. Okay. Put yourself in the right rooms. This is something that I do. And this is why, as an introvert, as a super shy introvert who is a private person, I love hosting events. I host a minimum of 3 in-person events a year, a minimum. Right. And I would love to host more, but 3 is where we are for now. Okay. Because I know when we show up for events, we show up for it to be a transformative experience. In my mind, I see my event as a blender or as a processor, if you will. And, people are coming in one way, leaving another, coming in one way, leaving another. This is my driver. This is what I'm pushing for. And I really want you to be a recipient of that. Okay. So being in the right room will change everything for you. And so when you come to Atlanta, I want you to come with the mindset that I'm coming here, I'm going to network, I'm going to learn some things, I'm going to do some things. And really, in EntreMD Live, we do a lot of workshopping. So we're not telling you to go home and do homework. You're working in real time. And so when you walk away, your business is better, you're better. It's just like that, right? Okay. So I'm rooting for every single one of you. I look forward to us celebrating all the wins that you created in your business because you are on EntreMD Live, because you are in the right room. And again, if there's any thought of, yeah, but, right? I want you to overcome the but, okay? Because you're a problem solver. And if you have questions, please reach out to my team, Dr. Una, DRUNA at entremd.com. We're happy to, answer those questions and get you into the room, okay? Rooting for you. Cannot wait to see you in Atlanta. And if you're watching this after EntreMD Live, or you're listening to this after EntreMD Live, be sure to check out the website to see what opportunities we have next available for you to be in the right room. Okay. Rooting for you always. See you on the next episode.